I have used several different heaters in a grow tent before, but nothing like this one. Welcome to the Hippie Geeks. Let's get the Spider Farmer 530 watt indoor heater unboxed and check out how to set it up. This package came at the same time as the grow tent that we just took a look at, and it appears that no one decided to kick this box all over the place, which is nice to see. Getting into the box, however, it looks like the packaging around this unit is really solid, and there is no room for anything to move, which always makes me happy. The first thing you see is the instruction manual, and you are definitely going to want to keep a hold of this thing for reference. After that is the heater itself, and we will set this aside to empty out the rest of the box. Next to that in a foam pocket is the air hose that will go from the heater into the tent, along with the light and temp sensor, and the cable to connect the sensor to the heater itself. Take the other end of the cable, and that can be clicked into the pigtail connector on the heater itself, which will let you see what the temperature at the sensor is, and it will let the heater know if the light is on or off, which is going to be important to the setup process. After that, you just need to screw the air hose into the receptacle for it on the left side when looking at the rear of the unit, and I found that this worked best if you had the hose extended at the end for at least a couple of inches. Once that is in the unit is assembled, just set all of the packaging aside as we are done with it. After that, it is time to pet the fat kitten that came down to visit me. This is Bagel, one of the newest additions to the homestead, and she is always curious about what we are doing. We got her sister Banjo at the same time, but she is not interested in making an appearance on camera today, so you just get Bagel. When setting up the heater, you can set it on its back like I have here, or you can also set it on its side on the feet that you can see closest to the camera, so you have some options on how to fit it in your space. However you have it set up, you then need to extend the hose out into the tent, along with the light and temp sensor, so that the unit can get an accurate reading. There is quite a bit of hose here once it is all unkinked, and the sensor cable is long enough that you should be able to run it anywhere inside the tent that you want to. Inside the tent, you would want this sensor to be placed somewhere between the soil level and the canopy, but for now I am just going to be setting them on the floor. Make sure that the sensor is facing towards the light, otherwise the unit will think that it is dark in the tent and heat accordingly. Now it is time to look at the most important settings that will let you get going. First up though, let's peel that protective film off so that we can actually see what it is saying. With that out of the way, the first thing we are going to cover is how to change it back and forth from Celsius to Fahrenheit, as that is what 90% of the questions on this video would be. To do that, you first just have to turn the unit on by touching the power button and then push the plus arrow for a couple of seconds. It will beep and then switch between the measurements. You can do this as often as you want, and it will just swap between them over and over again. To switch between the fan mode, which just moves air, and the heater mode, just tap the flame button and you will see the icon along the top switch between blowing wind, which is the fan setting, and a flame, which is the heater setting. When you only want to use it as a fan to blow air into the tent, make sure that the wind icon is showing, and then just tap the plus and minus buttons to cycle between levels 0 through 10. The fan will ramp up and down, pulling about 2 watts of power at level 1, up to 15 watts at level 10. The only real setting that you have on the fan setting other than up and down power levels is to set a timer in minutes or hours, and whatever you set the timer to is how long it will run before it shuts off. Alright, now we are going to move on to setting up the heater, and there are a couple of different ways that this thing can run when heating. First, tap the flame button so that the flame icon shows up, and now you are in the heating mode. To switch through the different settings, we are going to tap on the timer button, and this will cycle through the option. First up, the timer numbers will show up, and this works just like it did in fan-only mode. If you tap the timer button again, you will see the thermometer bulb show in the upper right, and on the left side it will say set. This is how you set the temperature for the heater to run in its continuous mode, and this is the only temperature it will care about in either the day or night cycle. I think that most folks are just going to use it like this and try to keep a consistent temp inside of the tent at all times. All you have to do to use this mode is to set your temperature and then wait for the number to stop blinking. The temp shown will then switch between showing the temperature you set and the actual temperature. Now, the next 2 heating modes go hand in hand, and you may have noticed the moon icon showing on the screen. That is there because the tent door is currently closed, and the fan has noticed that there is no light and uses the moon icon to indicate that. When there is light on the sensor, it will actually show a sun icon, and that is how you can tell what mode the fan is operating under. This is important because you can set different temperatures for when the light is on and off, which can be useful if you are trying to let the plant get a little colder when the light is off, which some folks like to do. To set those temps, you just tap on the timer button until the sun icon shows up, and then change the temperature to what you want it to aim for when the light is on. Tap the timer icon again, and that will show the moon again, and this is when you will use the plus and minus buttons to change the set temp when the light is off. Once you have the temp set with either the sun or moon showing, and then you just let the setting stop blinking, that is how the heater knows which heating mode you want to use. It can be a little confusing, as there are only a couple of buttons to make all of these changes, but if you just mess with it for a little while, you will get the hang of it really quickly. There are a couple of other things that you can change as well, but most folks will never use them, and in this video I just wanted to show how to get the unit heated up, and show the fact that you can set 2 different temps for day and night, which is pretty cool. One thing that you may see that I haven't changed this whole time is the power level of the heating element. You will notice that the 0 on the left side never changes, and that is because when messing with these settings, I didn't want the heating element to actually kick on and use my electricity, so I left it at 0. You can set it just like the fan from 0, which will just use the fan function with no heat, all the way up to level 10, which will be putting out as much heat as it can. The power draw on this isn't terrible, with a sustained maximum of about 530, though it will spike up as high as 650 when you first kick it on at level 10. To be honest, I would only really use settings 7 through 10, as at level 7 it is using 250 watts, then at level 8 uses 280 watts, at level 9 it uses 320 watts, and finally at level 10 using the 530 watts that we already mentioned. That is really all that I wanted to check out in this video, as this is just an unboxing and first look at this new heater from Spider Farmer that is going to be going on sale on their website around December 10th, which is really close. This unit is also going to be super affordable, with the pre-order price being just under $90, which is surprisingly low. I do not know how well this is going to work out long term, but we will have an update video in a couple of months to talk about what my feelings on this thing have been. If you want to check out the Spider Farmer 530 watt heater or any of their other gear for yourself, make sure to click on the link to their website in the video description down below and use the discount code GEEKS at checkout to get 8% off your entire order.